everybody, welcome back to Deck, or I shouldn't say welcome back, I should say welcome to Deck Memoirs. This is a cool little series that I would do on my channel, where every episode we go ahead and we take a look at a old deck from an old format. Number one, today we're going to be doing PikaRom. That's going to be from the Ultra Prism Rebel Clash format, and one of the those limitless online tournaments. I'm 100% sure, but it's going to be very simple. Kim Pobega won that one, so you can go find that one on limitless.com, limitless.com. But yeah, Kim Pobega won PikaRom, and that's kind of when PikaRom started being really good in combination with Tag Call in that specific format. Before people started playing with a Volkner, but he they started setting this trend with Tag Call PikaRom. So I thought I would do a deck profile for Tag Call PikaRom today, because this is one of my very first decks I built, with entirely real cards. So of course PikaRom holds a special place in my heart, and always getting to run full Blitz is always really, really fun. So I figured we just go ahead and let's just get started. First, my mat, of course, needs some repositioning as always. But without further ado, let's get into it. Starting off, we have 2 copies of Pikachu and Zekrom. I would not be surprised if you know this card. This card has been good for its entire time in standard format. It's going to be rotating out pretty soon here. If you're watching this, it's going to be his video. You can probably look down below the video, but it came out on June 30th of 2021. But PikaRom has been at the top of the format for pretty much ever since it was released in Team Up, the very first tag team set. But it is a very, very powerful card. 3 lightning energy, full blitz, 150 damage, search your deck for 3 lightning energies attached on your Pokemon. And then the really, really powerful Taggle GX. 3 lightning energies, 200 damage, but if you also have an additional 3 lightning energies on, then you get to snipe 170 damage, which can finish up some knockouts. So this card is very, very powerful. So 2 copies is the one on the list. And then also 2 copies of the Data Change is, of course, there was no Crobat actually. Remember, Rebel Clash was released before Darkness Ablaze, and Crobat was not around yet. Which means that the today was the only draw. I mean, it only got this round with the back supporters. That was pretty nice. But other than that, there's really no other Pokemon-based draw other than stuff like the Data Change and Chinchino, which a lot of decks didn't play other than Control wasn't a really good draw engine because Level Ball hadn't been released yet. So we do have the 2 PikaRom and 2 Dynamic GX. Those are actually the only Pokemon play multiple of, which is kind of crazy. Going into our other Pokemon, we do have 1 copy of Tapu Koko. This is the heart and soul of the deck. Some of you, if you're watching this right now, you may recognize this card. This card is still in standard today, but it still sees a whole bunch of play in the current PikaRom list as well. Dance with the Ancients. You can put this card in the Lost Zone, and then you can attach a basic lightning energy card from your discard pile to each of your Pokemon. So you put this guy in the Lost Zone, you can attach 1 energy to your PikaRom and 1 energy to your Dynamic, something like that. So this is the heart and soul of the deck, along with another Prism Star card that is very, very powerful and helps out lightning Pokemon. So went over that guy. And also, this is one of the decks only outs to Altaria and Decidueye. If you want to build this deck for expanded, I don't know if Altaria and Decidueye see me playing expanded. I'm probably more like Hoopa, but you can get around Hoopa with this as well. But there's also another card in this list that gets around Hoopa. This is probably not a card unless it gets around Hoopa, but of course, for Decidueye and Altaria, but Decidueye and Altaria actually weren't out then, so people didn't really have to deal with any wall kind of stuff back then. Time to read just my mat, because I don't know how, but it's moving. Anyway, we have 1 copy of Tapu Koko Prism Star, and then 1 copy of Marshadow, because our other stadium card that we heavily rely on is certain Prism Star card that we really rely on is Thundermine Prism Star, which is a stadium card, and Chaotic Slow did come out in Cosmic Eclipse, which means it was legal during the time of this deck, and this deck's cards were legal. So Marshadow was just a really quick way to just get around that Chaotic Slow, and you can put in your Thunder Mountain. Other one of is 1 copy of Raichu and Alolan Raichu GX. This is the other main attacker of the deck. This card is also does see play now in the PikaRom deck, and we have 2 lightning energy and a colorless 80+ Tandem Shock 80+. And if it moves to the bench of the deck at this turn, then you do 80 more damage, and then you can paralyze your opponent's active Pokemon. So you may recognize this from PikaRom decks now with the Risa Stamp Tandem Shock combo. And the Risa Stamp Tandem Shock is still a decent thing in this deck, but the other reason why this card is so good is because it has one-shot potential with Lightning Ride GX. 2 Lightning Energies and a colorless Lightning Ride GX, 150 damage. If you have 2 extra Lightning Energies on here, then you get to do an additional 100 damage. So you can do 250 damage for 5 energy because with your Tapu Koko and with your Stadium card, Thunder Mountain, which we'll get to in a minute, and your Full Blitz, getting those energies on there shouldn't be too much of a challenge. And then we can also actually increase Lightning Ride GX's damage output by quite a bit. So we can take some big one-shots on things like other opposing tag teams like a Mewtwo GX or a Reshiram Charizard GX. Both were very, very good at the time. Or if you play enough Electropower, which is a card that increases our damage output, which we'll get to later down the list, you can even one-shot something like a Dragon Ball VMAX, which was one of the first very, very good VMAXs that was released and saw a whole bunch of play. So 1 copy of Raichu and Alolan Raichu GX. We have 1 copy of Boltund V. Now, this is another card that sees a whole bunch of play out in the regular PikaRom deck today, because Electrify lets you search it every lightning energies and attach them to the Pokemon, and then Boltstorm does 10 plus 30 more for each lightning energy attached to all the Pokemon. So you can ramp up damage really, really quick with this, especially since you've had more ways to get lightning energies into play. Actually, no, that's not true. You could attack easier with Thunder Mountain. Yeah. We'll get to all the different combos of Thunder Mountain here when we put a card in the list. So Boltund is very, very good, especially if you open not a very good hand. You're like, okay, I can't get turn 1 Full Blitz with this hand. I'll just go for the Electrify, turn 1, and then go from there. On our last Pokemon we played very few Pokemon, actually. We have 1 copy of Eldegoss, which, as I mentioned, was one of the latest, or the latest, draw Pokemon, or Pokemon that when you bench them, you get to do something interacting with your deck or your hand, instead of something like that. So 1 copy of Eldegoss, you can get out Research and get out Box for game, as well as your Guzman Hala and Melalon if you want to get some of those guys back. We have 3 copies of Professor's Research. Just like now, Professor's Research is a very, very powerful supporter, so we're still playing some of them, but we're going more tag call focused in this build, and that's what made this specific build a lot better than the other ones of Volkner, because your tag call engine is a lot more aggressive for getting the turn on Full Blitz. So you get your tag call can get out your Pokemon and basically everything you need for a turn on Full Blitz. You get your Air Balloon, your Speed Lane, energy, and your Thunder Mountain. So we don't need to play as many researches like 4 as we do nowadays, but we do nonetheless still have 3 copies of research because it's still a very, very good card. We have 3 copies of Boss of Orders, also shouldn't be a surprise. This is actually a really new card. It's still really expensive on PTCGO. This card used to be 10 packs. I remember when it was $10+ real life. So yeah, but now it's not as much because it's gotten a whole bunch of reprints in decks and in the training toolkit, stuff like that. Now here's where we get to the fun stuff at the end of the deck. We have Guzman Hala, which is a tag team card that can be searched out with tag call. This Guzman Hala lets you search a deck for a Stadium card and put it into your hand, but you can discard 2 other cards from your hand and then search a deck for a special energy and a Pokemon pool. So this allowed you to search out your Thunder Mountain to decrease your attack costs, which is what that guy does. It searches out your Air Balloon to retreat your active after you Tapu Koko, because Tapu Koko only goes to the bench. And it can search out Speed Lane energy, so you can get your Catching Down Pikachu and Zekrom. And you can draw 2 cards in case you're missing something, so you can draw into do that shot at a Gradar to get a Dene to try and find that last piece of the puzzle you need for the turn 1 Full Blitz. Guzman Hala is really, really good. Kim Pomega's original list, they only played 1 Guzman Hala, but I really like 2 because I really like trying to go for that turn 1 Full Blitz unless your hand doesn't really live up to it. So 2 copies of Guzman Hala. Also, Professor Research Marnie was still a very, very good card. So we're still going to be playing a couple of those, so specifically 2 Marnie. But we also have Risa Stamp as well to make Marnie a little bit less as good, just because you can still play Risa Stamp in V1 now, but Marnie, along with Risa Stamp, you can play some of your other more powerful supporters. But yeah, just like the Research, Marnie is still a good supporter. It's just we have other supporters that want to be playing sometimes. We have 1 copy of Cynthia and Caitlin. Which lets you put a support card from your discard pile into your hand, and you can also discard a card in your hand and drop your cards. It's going to be used alongside Polygon Fever, getting back here. So possible for the game, you can threaten to have a game next turn and force your opponent to play Morning or Reefa Stamper is very good. And then finally, one copy of Malolana can be really good in the mirror match, actually. We're just using Malolana to heal a full Blitz and force an Electropower Tag Bolt. So there we go. Now getting into our supporters, our stadium cards, we have one copy of Chaotic Swell and one copy of Thunder Mountain. Now this is a card, if you don't know what it does, you've probably been interested in this entire deck profile so far, but this is the same. It's a Prison Star, you can only play one, which means that when it's in play, your lightning Pokemon's attacks cost 1 lightning less. So this is where our little combo wombo comes into play. What you can do is you can attach Return onto your PikaRom, that's 1 energy. You can Tapu Koko Prison Star to your PikaRom, that's 2 energy, and then the Thunder Mountain will play the 3rd energy. So technically you can only full blitz for 2 energy, and that will let you get a turn 1 full blitz on the first turn of the game if you go second, which is just crazy. If you don't go second, if you go first, that's even a little bit better, especially if you don't open a great hand, because that means if you have PikaRom and attach return, all you need is a Guzman Hollow to get the full blitz the next turn, pretty much guaranteed. So very, very good. Thunder Mountain is a crazy card. Moving on to our item cards, we have 4 copies of Quick Ball. That shouldn't be a surprise since this card is released. It's going to be played with 4 copies in almost every single deck. We have 4 copies of Switch, because we want to be able to switch into our Raichu or Little Raichu when needed, but also be able to switch into our PikaRom once we use our Tapu Koko to it, and stuff like that. We are going to go for the turn 1 full blitz. We have 4 copies of Electropower, which is another card I've been talking about this whole time. This card is crazy. When you play this Electropower from your hand, your lightning Pokemon's attacks to additional 30 damage. So, what this allows you to do is just use that Electropower, and you can play as many of you want. So you can play all 4 of them, do an additional 120 damage, which is crazy. But yeah, you can play 1 of them, and your full blitz will hit 180. You can play 2 of them, your full blitz will hit 210, which is knocking out like a Dragon Ball V, which is very good. You can play 3 of them and hit 240, which is knocking out a opponent's Pikachu and Zekrom. And if you play 4, then you can be doing 270 and knocking out a full tag team with just full blitz. And that's only full blitz. There's still so many other possibilities with Electropower for your GX needs. Your Tyrable GX, if you play 2 of them, then you can hit 260, which will knock out a decent amount of tag teams. It'll knock out the PikaRom, it'll knock out a Raichu. You're going to need to play another one of those Electropowers if you want to knock out something like a Mewtwo Mew or a Reshiram Charizard. But other than that, not a bad card. Also, as I mentioned with Lightning Ride GX, just one of these will be able to hit 280 with your Lightning Ride GX for full effect, which will just knock out a Mewtwo or knock out anything. So, Raichu is like your one shot and your like tech paralyzation when you need it. It's really, really good. We have 3 copies of Tag Call, which just shows out 2 typing cards between your hands. You can get out your Guzman Hollow and your PikaRom. Playing second, this card is really great once you get out your Guzman Hollow and your PikaRom. And the Guzman Hollow will get you like so close to getting full full. It's just really nuts. All you need is like a way. All you need is a single Tag Call and some basic energies in your hand and a Pokemon other than PikaRom in the active to get a turn full. It's just crazy because you bench. If you have something like a Bolton V in the active, you open Bolton V. You can play Tag Call, search out Guzman Hollow and Pikachu and Zekrom. Oh, you also need Quick Ball. I forgot about that. You also need a Quick Ball. So you can Tag Call for your Guzman Hollow and your Pikachu and Zekrom. Bench your Pikachu and Zekrom. Play Guzman Hollow, discard your energies. Get your Speed Lightning energies. Your Thunder Mountain and your Air Balloon. And then Quick Ball for that Tapu Koko. Grab out the last energy from the discard pile, and there you go. That's a turn 1 full blitz. So Tag Call is really, really good. Not to mention, you can also search out your draw 3 cards and get a supporter back to like draw in game next turn if you play that in the right spot, and won't have your Malolana to heal. We have 2 copies of Electropower, which lets you discard 2 cards from your hand and check your deck for 2 Lightning Pokemon GX, 4 Pokemon EX. Obviously, we only have Lightning Pokemon GX in this deck because EX were not actually in format, but nonetheless, still a really good card. You can get energy to discard pile for your Tapu Koko, and you can search out both your draw and your main attackers. 2 copies of Energy Switch. This is going to be used. This is actually still played in the current Pikachu and Zekrom list, but it can be used for hitting a turn 1 full blitz if you prize your Thunder Mountain. That's the main drawback of playing these really good Prison Star cards, is that if you prize one of them, you're kind of out of luck, especially Tapu Koko. You actually can't get turn 1 full blitz no matter what you draw, if you try to do Tapu Koko. With Thunder Mountain, you can still deal with it because if you have your Pikachu and Zekrom on the bench, you bench your Pikachu and Zekrom attached to it. Koko Prism, you're going to have to Koko Prism for 2 energies, which is very important. Koko Prism for 2 energies, and energy switch on from your last one for your other Pokemon that wasn't PikaRom, you Koko to, and then you go, that's 3 energy. So it's a lot more of a hassle than just going with the Thunder Mountain using the Hollow route. But if you play your Thunder Mountain and your hand allows it, definitely worth its that's because in your switch. Next, we have one of cards. We have 1 copy of Cherish Bowl, which is a treasure back for Pokemon GX. And put it into your hand. This can get you out. Once again, it's basically like Electropower, except it gets you 1 less, but you also don't have to discard 2 cards. So if your hand doesn't allow it, you have like 3 cards in your hand, and you can't discard like I don't know, like the last PikaRom, you prize your whatever, so you're going to be out of attackers, and that's fine. Cherish Ball in here to save the day. 1 copy of Recess Stamp, just because, once again, Stamp to 1 paralysis is still a route because you do have a copy of Bolton. So, copy of Recess Stamp is still pretty good. Even Recess Stamp to 3 is really, really good still. 1 copy of Tag Switch, which can be used to just tag switch off your PikaRom. Say your hand doesn't have enough energy and you really need a Lightning Ride GX, like right now. Then you can just tag switch off your Pikachu and Zekrom onto your Raichu GX. And there you got your Lightning Ride GX that you really, really needed. 1 copy of Great Catcher, because it's an item card at Gust, and since Pokemon V weren't as big at the time, the only V Pokemon you usually see is like Bolton, Eldegoss, and Dragapult. Everything else is GXs. Great Catcher was a really good card. Then our last we do have 1 copy of Air Balloon. Because we sold 4 switches, and Air Balloon is just that one of that Guzman and Hala can search out. Going into our energies, we have 4 copies of Speed Lightning Energy. Just attaching an energy to draw 2 cards is so powerful. That's 1.5 hops. That's not 1. I did my math wrong. I'm not gonna do the math right now, sorry. But drawing 2 cards is really great, especially on energy attachment that isn't support or even a support Pokemon. So it's also searchable to use Mahala if you use Mahala. Also, not only does it get your thing that decreases your attack cost, it gets you for your treat, but it also gets you 2 extra cards, which is crazy. Now our basic energies, we have 3, 9, 6, and 6, and then 1 basic Lightning energies, and that's going to be it for episode 1 of Pokemon Deck Memoirs with PikaRom from Ultra Prism, the Rebel Clash format. Deck is really, really good. Probably the BDF alongside probably like straight Blacephalon was really good too, because we still had Heat Factory in format, we still have Teeny Prism Star in format, we still had Fiery Foot in format, which is really, really the key to that straight Blacephalon deck. We have Pikachu and Zekrom GX, a really, really, really good deck. And yes, I'm going to do it for today's video of Deck Memoirs. If you guys are excited for the series, don't forget to leave a like. And if you guys want to not miss the other episodes of Deck Memoir that we're going to be doing here on the channel, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, because I also not only do Deck Memoir videos, but I'm also going to be doing a whole bunch of other PTCG videos, both deck profiles and PCGO gameplay. Yeah, that's going to do it for today's video. If you guys liked it, and I'll see you guys in the next video.